Alright, what's up everyone? It's your boy. And today we're diving deep into a topic that gets people talking, whispering, and let's be real, probably opens up a whole can of worms on family holidays: polygamy. Specifically, we're talking about polygyny, where a man can legally have multiple wives. Now, before your Aunt Carol clutches her pearls, let's be clear. This isn't a how-to guide. This is a where-to legally. We're about to drop a comprehensive list of countries where this practice is permitted, whether it's under national, religious, or customary law. Think of me as your geopolitical GPS for marital law. But hold up, it's not a free-for-all. This isn't like collecting Pokemon cards. A lot of these places have more rules and conditions than a supreme drop. We're talking about things like getting permission from your first wife, proving you can financially support everyone, or even court orders. It's complicated, with layers of legal and cultural nuance. So we're going to break it down, country by country, with all the big, flashy graphics you know and love. And just so we're crystal clear on this, if a country is not on this list, you can pretty much assume that trying to have more than one spouse will land you in a world of legal trouble. We're talking fines, annulments, maybe even jail time. So if your country isn't on the PowerPoint, stick to monogamy. It's just safer, you know? Alright, you ready? Let's get into it. Drop the beat. Here, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. Polygamy is legally permitted under strict Islamic law. In Bahrain, polygamy is permitted under Islamic law. So in Bangladesh, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. The main legal framework here is the Muslim Family Laws Ordinance. In Brunei, it's legally permitted as well, and it's governed by Islamic Sharia law. The Sharia penal code is the relevant legal text in this context. In Cameroon, polygamy is allowed, especially in the northern regions. The laws here are shaped by both civil and customary law. In Chad, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. Yeah, that's right. Islamic law, or Sharia, plays a significant role in the country's legal system. It's legally permitted in Comoros under Islamic law. So, just like in some other countries, Sharia allows for polygamy here as well. Polygamy is legally permitted here in Djibouti under Islamic law. Basically, Sharia provides the legal framework for this practice in the country. So in Egypt, polygamy is permitted for Muslims, and it's actually governed by Islamic personal status laws. But you know, there's an important requirement here. It requires notifying previous wives. In Gambia, polygamy is permitted under Islamic law. Basically, it's all based on Islamic law or Sharia. In Guinea, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law as well. Yeah, it's governed by Sharia, just like in some other countries we've talked about. In Iran, polygamy is legally permitted, but it actually requires the first wife's consent. So yeah, that's an important condition to keep in mind. In Iraq, polygamy is permitted as well, but it requires judicial permission. In other words, you need to get approval from the court before proceeding. In Jordan, polygamy is permitted for Muslims and it's regulated by personal status laws. Basically, it's governed by Islamic law, or Sharia. In Kenya, polygamy is allowed under customary law for specific tribal communities. The Marriage Act 2014 provides the legal framework for this practice. In Kuwait, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. This is, you know, governed by the principles of Sharia. In Lebanon, polygamy is permitted for Muslims under specific religious court systems. It's, regulated by religious courts to ensure compliance with community standards. So in Libya, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. In Malaysia, it's actually permitted for Muslims, but it does require Sharia court approval. And in the Maldives, polygamy is legally permitted under its Islamic laws. So in Mali, it's legally permitted here under Islamic law. In Morocco, it's actually limited under Islamic law, and it requires a judge's permission. Here in Niger, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. Chapter 25. In Nigeria, polygamy is allowed under customary law in certain northern states. This region operates under state-level customary law, reflecting the diverse legal landscape within the country. Chapter 26. In Oman, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law, also known as Sharia. This reflects the country's adherence to traditional Islamic principles in its legal system. Chapter 27. In Pakistan, polygamy is permitted for Muslims, but it requires the permission of an arbitration council. This process ensures that the practice is regulated and aligns with the country's legal framework. So, in Qatar, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law. In Saudi Arabia, polygamy is, widely permitted under its Islamic law. In Senegal, men must actually choose monogamy or polygamy at the time of marriage. In Somalia, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law, also known as Sharia. In Sudan, polygamy is also legally permitted here under Islamic law. In Syria, polygamy is permitted for Muslims, but there are some legal restrictions in place, and it's regulated by the personal status law. In Tanzania, polygamy is allowed under customary law for some tribal groups, so both customary and Islamic law play a role here. In Togo, polygamy is allowed in some regions, but not nationally. It's recognized under regionally practiced customary law. In Tunisia, polygamy is heavily restricted and requires very special court permission. It's pretty clear that it's legally discouraged. In the United Arab Emirates, polygamy is legally permitted under Islamic law, which is also known as Sharia. It's interesting to see how these laws are integrated into the legal framework of the country. Moving on to Yemen, polygamy is also legally permitted here under Islamic law. This reflects the cultural and religious practices deeply rooted in the region. Now, in South Africa, polygamy is allowed under the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act. This legislation acknowledges the diverse cultural practices within the country. It's quite fascinating to see how different regions approach the concept of marriage. In India, it's permitted for Muslims under the Muslim Personal Law. The relevant legislation here is the Muslim Personal Law, also known as the Shariat Act. In Indonesia, it's allowed for Muslims, but, it requires court permission as well as consent. The process is governed by strict court and spousal consent requirements. In Singapore, it's permitted only for Muslims under Islamic personal law. This is covered by the Muslims Law Act. In Ethiopia, polygamy is permitted under customary law and regulated specifically for Muslims. Customary and Islamic law both play a role here. In Eritrea, polygamy is allowed in some communities under customary law. Ethnic and religious customary law influences these practices. In South Sudan, polygamy is permitted under customary law, and honestly, it's quite common in rural areas. It's really a widespread customary practice. So, in Burkina Faso, it's actually explicitly allowed and recognized in the Civil Code. In Benin, it's, banned nationally, but it's still widely practiced under customary law. Legally banned, practically tolerated. In Liberia, polygamy is common but not legally codified. You'll find it practiced under traditional customs, but there isn't an official law that lays it out. In Sierra Leone, polygamy is permitted under customary law for certain ethnic groups. So yeah, it's recognized, but only within those specific communities and traditions. In Ghana, polygamy is allowed under customary law, but you do need court approval. It's mostly found in the northern regions, and honestly, there are some legal hoops to jump through. So there you have it. 50, count them 50, countries where under a complex web of laws, religions, and traditions, polygamy is a reality. But as we've seen over and over again, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's simple. The big takeaway here is that legal comes with a giant asterisk. We're talking about court approvals, financial checks, the consent of existing wives, and deep-rooted cultural expectations. It's not a casual decision. It's governed by strict frameworks that vary wildly from one border to the next. The world is a big, complicated place, and so are its marriage laws. And let me say this one more time for the people in the back. If a country was not on this list, polygamy is illegal. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. In the vast majority of the world, from the Americas to most of Europe and Asia, one spouse is your legal limit. Trying to exceed that is a one-way ticket to legal drama, and trust me, that's a rabbit hole you do not want to go down. I've seen the paperwork, and it is not fun. Ultimately, this stuff is constantly evolving. Laws change, social norms shift, and what's true today might be different tomorrow, so I can't stress this enough. This video is a starting point, not your lawyer. If you're seriously looking into this for academic, personal, or any other reason, please check the most current local laws and consult with legal experts on the ground. Be smart, stay informed, and whatever you do, stay out of trouble. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.